In a world full of opinions and half-truths, one ancient record stands alone, the Bible, the one source of truth we can trust, and within its pages lies mysteries waiting to be uncovered. On a warm night in Jerusalem, the kingdom of Israel began to die. This was not how Solomon's story was supposed to end. Not the son of David, not the man who built the temple, not the one who God himself named the wisest man who ever lived. A prophet announced that the 10 tribes would be torn away. A kingdom that once shined with unmatched glory was now on the verge of collapse. And the man at the center of it all was Solomon. But the real mystery isn't the judgment. The real mystery is how it happened. How does the wisest man who ever lived drift so far, so quietly, that he ends his life building altars to the very gods Israel was commanded to destroy? How does a man who wrote Proverbs end up worshiping the gods the Bible later calls demons? How does a king who began with humility and obedience end his life in spiritual darkness? Where did his wisdom go, or was it ever the kind of wisdom that could save him? Tonight, we start to investigate the rise, the drift, the idolatry, the demonic deception behind Solomon's fall, and why his story points us to a better king. Chapter 1. The Birth of Wisdom. Imagine God appeared to you and said, "Ask for anything, without conditions or limits." That moment happened to Solomon, and what he asked for did two things at the same time. It launched the greatest golden age Israel would ever have, and planted the seeds of the greatest collapse the kingdom would ever face. Because Solomon's entire story, his rise and his ruin, both begin in the same place. A heart that understood everything is empty if God is absent. Solomon's story doesn't open with brilliance or power, it opens with reverence. Solomon inherits a nation at peace. There are no wars to fight, no rivals threatening his throne, no chaos demanding strength. And in that quiet moment, God appeared to him in a dream and says in 1 Kings 3:5, "In Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream at night, and God said, 'Ask what you wish me to give you.'" It is a moment that reveals the truth of a man's soul. And Solomon answers with humility, saying in 1 Kings 3:7, "And now, Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David. Yet I am like a little boy. I do not know how to go out or come in." There's no pride, no pretense, just truth. A young king admitting he is nothing without God. This is the soil where wisdom grows. Not confidence or competence, but humility. So Solomon asked for a listening heart, a heart that can discern good from evil, a heart shaped by reverence, a heart that refuses to lead without God's voice. And God grants his request. Not because Solomon is impressive, but because Solomon is dependent. The evidence shows up immediately. Solomon is presented with a difficult situation. There's 2 mothers, 1 living child, there's no witnesses, and there's no evidence. Solomon sees what no one else can. He says in 1 Kings 3:24-25, "And the king said, 'Get me a sword.' So they brought a sword before the king. And the king said, 'Cut the living child in 2 and give half to the one and half to the other.'" It's a shocking order, but it exposes the truth instantly. The real mother responds in 1 Kings 3:26. "But the woman whose child was the living one spoke to the king, for she was deeply stirred over her son, and she said, 'Pardon me, my lord, give her the living child, and by no means kill him.' But the other woman was saying, 'He shall be neither mine nor yours. Cut him.'" A mother's heart reveals what evidence cannot. Because Solomon says in 1 Kings 3:27, "Give the first woman the living child, and by no means kill him. She is his mother." Israel watches in awe, not because of the brilliance of a gifted ruler, not the talent of an up-and-coming king, but the wisdom of God. Wisdom born from fear, the kind that bows low and listens long. This is Solomon's true beginning, a king grounded in humility, a leader shaped by dependence, a heart anchored in reverence. But now the question rises, what exactly did God give him? Was it the kind of wisdom that deepens as the fear of the Lord deepens? Or was it the kind that shines bright at first, but fades when humility fades? Because biblical wisdom isn't intelligence. It isn't strategy. It isn't cleverness. Wisdom is obedience, formed by reverence. And when reverence slips, even the wisest man alive can drift.